So without using that leg to help, let me see how far. Okay, that's good. That's good. So she had a total knee replacement in January, February. Then had a manipulation in June. So, but didn't really get any therapy after the manipulation. So, um, you know, loves hiking, loves being outdoors, being active, doing that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the goal. Now, you everybody's going to have their own philosophy on manipulations, on mobilization, on working on range of motion. Some surgeons will say you got to get full range in 8 weeks or you're never going to get it. Um, when you look, and this will be a great assignment for you guys, look for clinical research, look for any kind of data on tissue healing and how long somebody can continue to improve range of motion after a knee replacement. Don't limit it to knee replacement. What I would do is I would say consider and look into like joint contractures. And if you're able to regain range of motion, if somebody has a joint contracture, um, just do your best. Look for what's out there. See if you can find any time frames. And then tomorrow we'll have a discussion about it. I'll share my thoughts on the process and what I think. From a treatment perspective, so just so you guys kind of know what I'm doing. So I like this chair. I rarely, if ever, will do anything in supine, especially for a knee. You have to keep in mind, most of my patients haven't laid in supine for decades. They have breathing issues, they have spinal stenosis, they have lots of other complications. Supine is just a crazy position, really, to do anything. But I know we learn it in school. I love sitting on a chair like this. Gravity is doing half the work already. I do a combination of distraction with a little bit of posterior glide at the tibia. Um, I'm not so much pushing into flexion because you guys can imagine if the quad or knee is restricted and I push in, she's just going to kick back out, right? And we can learn a lot from good neurotherapists. If I have a neuro patient who always is falling to the left, if I try to push him back to the right, he just pushes into the left even more. If I want him to correct, I have to push him from the right, and then he'll go that way. This is no different. So a lot of times what I'm doing is if I'm working on flexion, I'm pulling into extension just because it's going to trigger that reflex in the body to go into flexion, but can you sleep last night?
Actually slept good last night.
Ooh, what's good? Good is a relative term.
Almost all right. Woke up at 3, went right back to sleep.
Okay. So I'll call them complexities, not comorbidities. Complexities include poor sleep. The vast majority of our patients are sleeping terribly. And we know from clinical research, and I'll share a video with you guys about pain and sleep interruption. But there's studies on med students, they interrupted their sleep patterns, they didn't let them get into a deep sleep in a sleep lab, and all of them had higher sensitivity to pain, frustration, clouded minds. So just a little bit of disruption has a big effect. Okay. Let's do, we've got a little bit of a new one for you. So to me, the most exciting part about what we do is being creative, right? Just getting a chance to experiment and like figure stuff out. So in this situation, I know that I want her to be able to work on flexion. I know that she can use, and she's done it before, her other leg, kind of pull that one back. But variety is always appreciated. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up a little pulley system coming under. You can grab, I would grab with that hand. That's like your main, yeah, this is your main driver. And basically what I want you to do is you're going to pull it back, get to the point of discomfort, not pain, then push against it with your foot a little bit. Say push for 5 seconds, and then relax everything. Perfect. Let's work on that. Don't worry about reps or sets or anything. We'll go about 2 minutes. Just pull it back, resist for 5 seconds or so, and then let everything